Jamie Randall never intended to be a pharmaceutical salesman. With his quick wit, disarming smile, and an uncanny ability to read people, he could sell anything to anyone. What he couldn't do was commit. Not to medical school like his successful brother, not to a career path, and certainly not to a relationship. After being fired from his job at an electronics store for sleeping with his manager's girlfriend, Jamie finds himself recruited by Pfizer, a pharmaceutical company looking for charismatic salespeople to push their products to doctors. The training sessions reveal Jamie's natural talent. While other trainees memorize medical terminology and drug benefits, Jamie studies human psychology, how to get past the gatekeepers, how to make doctors feel special, how to leave an impression that lasts longer than the free pens and notepads he distributes. His mentor, Bruce Winston, sees potential in Jamie's shameless charm, but warns him that the pharmaceutical world is cutthroat. Their main competitor, Trey Hannigan from Pfizer's rival company, already has the market cornered with their cholesterol medication. This isn't about helping people, kid, Bruce tells Jamie during a late-night strategy session. It's about market share. Never forget that. Jamie nods, but something in him resists this cynical view. He wants success. Yes, the money, the recognition, the validation that he isn't the family failure. But somewhere beneath his practiced smile lies a desire to matter, to make a difference. His territory is the medical practices of the Ohio River Valley, where doctors are overworked and patients are often overlooked. Jamie's main target is Dr. Stan Knight, a respected physician whose prescription pad could make or break Jamie's career. After multiple failed attempts to get past the doctor's stern receptionist, Jamie resorts to posing as an intern to shadow the doctor. It's during this deception that he first sees Maggie Murdoch, fierce, beautiful, and clearly not impressed by his charm. She's at the clinic for her regular checkup for early-onset Parkinson's disease, a condition that has already begun to reshape her life at just 26 years old. When Dr. Knight leaves them alone momentarily, Maggie immediately calls out Jamie's facade. "You're not a doctor," she says, eyes narrowing. "Your hands are too soft, and you keep looking at that Pfizer watch like it's your security blanket." Jamie, caught off guard by her perceptiveness, fumbles for a response. Before he can recover, Maggie pulls up her shirt, revealing her breast. "Since you're here, make yourself useful. Does this look normal to you?" Jamie stares, speechless for perhaps the first time in his adult life. It's not her body that stuns him, though that certainly has an effect, but her boldness, her defiance in the face of vulnerability. When Dr. Knight returns and discovers Jamie's deception, he's thrown out of the office. But as he's leaving, Maggie confronts him in the parking lot. "You're a salesman," she says, not a question, but an accusation. "Pharmaceutical representative," Jamie corrects with his practiced smile. "You sell drugs you don't understand to doctors who don't have time to read the research." Her words sting because they contain truth. Before Jamie can defend himself, Maggie continues. "I'm an artist. I work at the local art store. I have Parkinson's. I don't have time for bullshit. If you want to sleep with me, just say so." Her directness leaves Jamie speechless again. This isn't how the game is played. Women are supposed to fall for his charm, his carefully constructed persona. They're not supposed to see through him so easily. "I want to sleep with you," he admits, dropping the act. Maggie nods. "Good. My place. Tonight. Don't bring flowers. Don't pretend this is something it's not." As Jamie watches her walk away, he feels something shift inside him. He's met his match, someone who refuses to be sold a story, who demands authenticity in a world built on appearances. Jamie arrives at Maggie's apartment that evening, finding it filled with paintings, photographs, and half-finished art projects. It's chaotic but vibrant, much like Maggie herself. Their first night together is passionate but strangely honest. There are no pretenses, no morning after promises. Maggie makes it clear, this is sex, not a relationship. "I don't do boyfriends," she tells him as they lie in her bed afterward. "Especially not ones who sell hope in a pill bottle." Jamie, accustomed to being the one who avoids commitment, finds himself intrigued by her boundaries. "What if I want to see you again?" "Then you'll have to find me," she says with a challenging smile. "I'm not going to make it easy for you." Over the next few weeks, Jamie pursues Maggie with an intensity that surprises even him. He tracks her down at the art store where she works, at the coffee shop she frequents, at the support group for young people with Parkinson's that she sometimes attends. Each time, she greets him with a mixture of amusement and wariness. Meanwhile, Jamie's professional life begins to change when Pfizer launches Viagra, a new medication that promises to revolutionize men's sexual health. Suddenly, Jamie has a product that doctors actually want to hear about. His sales numbers climb, and he begins to gain recognition within the company. The money flows in, and with it a sense of validation he's craved his entire life. But as Jamie spends more time with Maggie, he begins to see the pharmaceutical industry through her eyes. He witnesses her struggle with medication costs, with insurance denials, with the side effects that the glossy brochures in his sample case don't mention. He sees how doctors, overwhelmed by patient loads and administrative burdens, rely on pharmaceutical representatives like him for information about new drugs, information that is inherently biased toward sales rather than patient outcomes. One night, after Maggie experiences a particularly bad tremor episode, Jamie holds her until the shaking subsides. In that moment of raw vulnerability, something changes between them. "Why do you keep coming back?" Maggie asks, her voice small in the darkness of her bedroom. Jamie considers the practiced lines he could offer, the charming deflections. Instead, he tells her the truth. "Because when I'm with you, I don't have to pretend. And that scares the hell out of me." Maggie turns to face him, studying his expression. "I'm going to get worse, you know. The medication helps now, but eventually it won't be enough. My hands will shake more. I'll have trouble walking, talking. I'll need help with basic things." "I know," Jamie says, though the reality of her condition is something he's been avoiding thinking about too deeply. "No, you don't," Maggie insists. "You see me now, when I can still pass for normal most days. You don't see me at 3 in the morning when I can't hold a glass of water. You don't see what this disease will take from me." Jamie reaches for her hand, holding it steady in his. "Then show me. All of it." It's a turning point for both of them. Maggie begins to let Jamie into the parts of her life she usually keeps hidden. The daily medication regimen, the exercises designed to maintain mobility, the fear that lives just beneath her fierce independence. And Jamie, for perhaps the first time in his life, begins to care about someone more than himself. As Jamie's success with Viagra continues to grow, he finds himself torn between his burgeoning career and his deepening relationship with Maggie. Bruce, his mentor, notices the change in him. "You're distracted," Bruce observes during a sales meeting. "Is it the girl with Parkinson's? The one you can't stop talking about?" Jamie bristles at Bruce's dismissive tone. "Her name is Maggie." Bruce sighs, leaning back in his chair. "Look, kid, I've been in this business 20 years. I've seen what happens when reps get too involved with patients. It clouds your judgment, affects your numbers. She's not a patient. Jamie stops, unsure how to define what Maggie is to him. "She's what? Your girlfriend? Your future? Come on, Jamie. We both know you're not the settling down type. And even if you were, do you really want to sign up for what she's facing?" The question haunts Jamie as he drives to his next appointment. Bruce's words have voiced the fear he's been avoiding, that he isn't equipped for the reality of loving someone with a progressive disease, that his pattern of running when things get difficult will eventually assert itself. Meanwhile, Maggie has been offered a chance to participate in an experimental treatment program in Canada. The program offers hope for better symptom management, but would require her to move away for at least 6 months. When she tells Jamie about the opportunity, his reaction surprises her. "You should go," he says immediately. "If it could help, you have to try." Maggie studies his face. "Just like that? You want me to leave?" Jamie takes her hands. "I want you to have every chance at the best life possible. If that means Canada, then yes. And us? What happens to us?" The question hangs between them. Jamie has never been in a relationship that warranted long-distance consideration, never cared enough to make such an effort. "We'll figure it out," he says, trying to sound more confident than he feels. "There are phones. Weekends. It's not forever." Maggie doesn't look convinced. "Jamie, be honest with me. Is this your way of letting me go gently? Because if it is, I'd rather you just say it. No, Jamie insists, surprised by the vehemence in his voice. That's not what this is. He stops, the words catching in his throat. I love you, Maggie. I think I have since that day in the parking lot when you saw right through me. It's the first time he said those words to anyone outside his family, and they feel both terrifying and true. Maggie's eyes fill with tears, but she blinks them away quickly. Love isn't enough, Jamie. Not for this. Love doesn't stop my hand from shaking. It doesn't pay for medications or make doctors take me seriously. Love is easy in the beginning. It's what comes after that matters. Before Jamie can respond, his phone rings. It's his district manager calling about a major potential client. The moment breaks, and Maggie turns away, leaving Jamie caught between the career he's building and the relationship that's changing him. As Maggie prepares for her potential move to Canada, Jamie throws himself into his work with renewed intensity. Viagra has become a blockbuster drug, and Jamie's territory is one of the top performers in the region. He's offered a promotion that would move him to Chicago, farther from Maggie, but closer to the corporate success he's always thought he wanted. The night before Maggie is set to leave for her evaluation in Canada, Jamie takes her to dinner at an upscale restaurant. He's dressed in his best suit, his hair perfectly styled, looking every bit the successful pharmaceutical representative. Maggie wears a simple black dress, her hair pulled back to reveal the elegant line of her neck. They look like any other couple celebrating a special occasion, but the weight of their uncertain future hangs between them. I got offered a promotion today, Jamie says as they wait for their entrees. District manager for the Chicago region. Maggie's expression is carefully neutral. Congratulations. That's what you wanted, right? To prove yourself to your family. To be more than just the charming screw-up. Jamie nods, though her assessment makes him uncomfortable. It's a big opportunity. More money, more responsibility. And farther from Ohio, Maggie observes quietly. Yes, Jamie admits. But Chicago to Toronto isn't that much farther than Ohio to Toronto. And if the treatment works, if you decide to stay there. Jamie, Maggie interrupts, her voice gentle but firm. Let's be honest with ourselves. Long distance is hard enough for normal couples. Add in my condition, your new job, we're setting ourselves up for failure. So what are you saying? That we should just give up? That what we have isn't worth fighting for? Maggie reaches across the table, her hand trembling slightly as she takes his. I'm saying that I love you too much to watch you sacrifice your life to be my caretaker. And I'm afraid that's what will happen if we stay together. You'll resent me, and I'll hate myself for making you choose. Jamie feels anger rising in his chest. Not at Maggie, but the unfairness of their situation. That's not your decision to make. You don't get to decide what I can handle or what I want. No, but I know what I need, Maggie says, her eyes shining with unshed tears. And right now, I need to focus on this treatment without worrying about how my disease is affecting you. I need to be Maggie with Parkinson's, not Maggie who's ruining Jamie's life. You're not ruining my life, Jamie insists, his voice rising enough that nearby diners glance their way. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Maggie smiles sadly, and that's why I have to let you go. The months that follow their separation are the darkest of Jamie's life. He takes the promotion, moves to Chicago, and throws himself into his work with a single-minded focus that impresses his superiors but worries those who know him well. He dates casually, always women who want nothing more than a night or two of his company. He buys an expensive apartment with views of Lake Michigan, fills it with furniture he doesn't care about, and spends as little time there as possible. On the surface, he's living the life he always thought he wanted, successful, unattached, envied by his peers. But in quiet moments, when the pharmaceutical sales pitch falls away, he finds himself thinking of Maggie, of her laugh, her honesty, the way she saw through his carefully constructed persona to the person underneath. He tries to contact her several times, but her responses are brief and distant. She's staying in Canada, she tells him. The treatment is showing promise. She's made friends in the program, other young people with Parkinson's who understand what she's going through in a way Jamie never could. She doesn't say she's moved on, but the implication is clear. She's building a life that doesn't include him. Meanwhile, Jamie's professional success begins to feel hollow. He watches as doctors prescribe medications based on which pharmaceutical representative brought the best lunch that week, not on what might actually help their patients. He sees the way drug prices rise while patient assistance programs are cut. He witnesses the beginning of the opioid crisis, as companies like his push pain medications with minimal concern for their addictive potential. One night, after a particularly successful sales meeting where he convinced a major medical group to switch their erectile dysfunction prescriptions to Viagra, Jamie finds himself sitting alone in a hotel bar. A woman approaches, beautiful, clearly interested, and for the first time, Jamie feels no desire to engage in the familiar dance of seduction. "I'm sorry," he tells her. "I'm not good company tonight." After she leaves, Jamie pulls out his phone and scrolls to Maggie's number. It's late, past midnight in Toronto, but he calls anyway. To his surprise, she answers. "Jamie." Her voice is thick with sleep, but instantly recognizable. "Is everything okay?" "No," he admits, the word catching in his throat. "Nothing's okay, Maggie. I hate my job. I hate what I've become. I miss you so much it physically hurts." There's a long silence on the other end of the line. Finally, Maggie speaks, her voice gentle. "Jamie, are you drunk?" "No, I wish I was. At least then, I'd have an excuse for being so pathetic." Maggie sighs. "You're not pathetic. You're just lost." "I am," Jamie agrees. "I thought I knew what I wanted. Success, money, freedom. But none of it means anything without you." "Jamie, I know. You need to focus on your treatment. You don't need me complicating things." "But Maggie, what if I've changed? What if I'm ready to be the person you need me to be?" "That's the problem," Maggie says softly. "I never wanted you to change for me. I wanted you to want the same things I want. Honesty, partnership, a life that means something beyond the next sale or the next conquest." Her words hit Jamie like a physical blow because they contain a fundamental truth he's been avoiding. His pursuit of Maggie has been, in many ways, just another conquest, another challenge to overcome. He's been trying to prove that he could be what she needs rather than examining whether her needs align with his authentic self. "I don't know who I am anymore, Maggie," Jamie admits, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've spent so long being what other people want me to be that I've lost track of what I actually want." There's a rustling sound on Maggie's end of the line, as if she's sitting up in bed. "Then maybe that's what you need to figure out before anything else." "Not for me, Jamie. For yourself." The conversation ends without resolution, but it marks a turning point for Jamie. The next morning, he walks into his district manager's office and requests a leave of absence. When his request is denied, he does something he's never done before. He quits without having another job lined up, without a safety net or a plan. For weeks, Jamie drifts. He sublets his expensive apartment and moves into a modest studio. He visits his parents, has honest conversations with his brother about their competitive relationship, and for the first time, listens more than he talks. He volunteers at a free clinic, where he sees firsthand the impact of healthcare inequities on real people. He reads books about the pharmaceutical industry, about healthcare policy, about Parkinson's disease, and he writes to Maggie, not asking for reconciliation, not pressuring her for a response, but sharing his journey of self-discovery. Sometimes she writes back, brief messages that offer encouragement without promise. She tells him about her treatment, about the good days and bad days, about the art therapy program she started for other patients. 6 months after their phone call, Jamie receives an invitation to a gallery showing in Toronto featuring artwork by patients in Maggie's program. The invitation isn't from Maggie herself, but from the program director, who mentions that Maggie suggested his name. It's not much, but it's enough to give Jamie hope. He makes the trip to Toronto, his stomach in knots as he enters the small gallery. The artwork on display is raw and powerful. Paintings, sculptures, and photographs that capture the experience of living with a chronic illness. Jamie moves through the space slowly, taking in each piece, until he comes to a series of photographs in the back corner. The photos show hands in various states of motion, some steady, some blurred with tremors. In one particularly striking image, 2 hands are intertwined, one clearly trembling, the other holding it steady. The caption reads, Temporary Stillness by Maggie Murdoch. What do you think? Maggie's voice comes from behind him, and Jamie turns to find her standing there, looking both familiar and somehow new. Her hair is shorter, her face thinner, but her eyes still hold the same fierce intelligence that captivated him from the beginning. It's beautiful, Jamie says, his voice thick with emotion. Honest. Maggie nods, moving to stand beside him. That's why I've been working on honesty. In my art, in my life. How are you? Jamie asks, resisting the urge to reach for her hand. Some days are better than others, Maggie says with a small shrug. The treatment has helped with the tremors, but there are other symptoms now. Fatigue, muscle stiffness, but I'm managing. Jamie nods, unsure what to say next. There's so much he wants to tell her, so many questions he wants to ask, but he's afraid of pushing too hard, of shattering this fragile moment of reconnection. Maggie saves him from his uncertainty. I got your letters. All of them. I wasn't sure if you were reading them. I read every word, Maggie admits. Multiple times, actually. They helped me understand what you were going through. What we were both going through. Jamie takes a deep breath. Maggie, not here. She interrupts gently. There's a cafe across the street. We can talk there after the showing. The gallery event lasts another hour, during which Jamie watches Maggie interact with other artists and visitors. She moves with purpose despite the occasional visible tremor, her passion for the program evident in every conversation. Jamie sees a confidence in her that wasn't there before, a comfort with her condition that comes not from resignation, but from acceptance. When they finally make it to the cafe, they sit at a small table by the window, 2 cups of tea between them. For a moment, neither speaks, the weight of their shared history and separate journeys filling the space between them. I'm not the same person I was when we met, Jamie finally says. I don't think either of us is. Maggie nods. That's probably a good thing. We were both running from something then, you from commitment, me from my diagnosis. And now, Maggie considers the question, her fingers tracing the rim of her teacup. Now I'm trying to run towards something instead. Purpose, meaning, a life that acknowledges my limitations without being defined by them. Is there room in that life for someone else? Jamie asks, his heart pounding. For me. Maggie looks at him directly, her gaze unflinching. That depends. What are you running toward, Jamie? It's the question he's been asking himself for months, the one that has kept him awake at night and driven his journey of self-discovery. Now, sitting across from the woman who changed everything for him, the answer comes with surprising clarity. Authenticity, he says, a life where I contribute something meaningful instead of just selling things people may not need. A chance to use what I've learned about healthcare to make a difference. He pauses, gathering his courage. And love, Maggie, the kind that doesn't run when things get hard, the kind that grows stronger through challenges. Maggie's eyes fill with tears, but she blinks them away quickly. Those are beautiful words, Jamie, but we've both learned that words aren't enough. You're right, Jamie acknowledges. That's why I've applied to patient advocacy organizations here in Toronto. I want to use my knowledge of the pharmaceutical industry to help patients navigate the system, to fight for fair pricing and access. I've already had 2 interviews. Surprise flashes across Maggie's face. You're moving to Toronto? I want to, Jamie says. Not just for you, though you're a big part of it, but also because I believe in the work you're doing here, in the community you've built. I want to be part of it, if you'll let me. Maggie is quiet for a long moment, studying his face as if searching for any sign of insincerity. And what happens when things get hard? Well, I have a bad day, or week, or month. When the treatment stops working as well as it does now. Then we face it together, Jamie says simply. I can't promise I won't be scared or frustrated sometimes. I can't promise I'll always know the right thing to say or do. But I can promise I won't run. Not anymore. Maggie reaches across the table, her hand trembling slightly, and Jamie meets it halfway, their fingers intertwining just like in her photograph. I can't promise you a normal life, Maggie warns, her voice soft but steady. Jamie smiles, squeezing her hand gently. Normal is overrated. I'd rather have real. Jamie moves to Toronto the following month, taking a position with a patient advocacy group that focuses on neurological disorders. His background in pharmaceutical sales, once a source of shame, becomes an asset as he helps patients navigate the complex world of medication access, insurance appeals, and clinical trials. He's no longer selling drugs. He's empowering patients to make informed decisions about their own care. Maggie continues her work with the art therapy program, which expands to include patients with various chronic conditions. Her own Parkinson's symptoms fluctuate. Some days she can barely hold a paintbrush, while others she creates with fluid grace. She learns to adapt, to find new ways of expressing herself when the old ways become challenging. They move in together after 6 months, finding an apartment with wide doorways and accessible features that they hope won't be necessary for years but want to have in place. Their life together isn't perfect. They argue about medication schedules, about Jamie's tendency to hover when Maggie is having a bad day, about the balance between independence and support. But beneath these surface tensions lies a foundation of mutual respect and understanding that sustains them through the difficult moments. 1 year after their reunion at the gallery, Jamie takes Maggie to Niagara Falls for a weekend getaway. As they stand at the railing, watching the powerful rush of water, Jamie reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small box. "I'm not going to kneel," he tells her with a smile, "because I know how hard it would be for you to help me up if you say no." Maggie laughs, the sound nearly lost in the roar of the falls. "That's very considerate of you." Jamie opens the box to reveal a simple ring with a small emerald, the same color as Maggie's eyes. "I'm not asking you to pretend this will be easy. I'm not promising you a fairy tale. I'm asking if you want to build a life with me, day by day, whatever that life brings." Maggie looks at the ring, then at Jamie, her eyes shining. "Are you sure? Really sure? Because once we do this, there's no easy way out." "I've never been more sure of anything," Jamie says, and he means it. "You taught me what matters, Maggie. You show me how to be real in a world full of facades. Loving you isn't a burden. It's the greatest gift I've ever received." Maggie takes the ring, slipping it on her finger with a hand that trembles not from Parkinson's but from emotion. Then yes. Yes to all of it. The good days and the bad, the challenges and the joys. Yes to building something real together. As they seal their engagement with a kiss, the mist from the falls surrounds them, a reminder of the power and beauty that can come from forces beyond our control. Jamie and Maggie have learned that love, like the falls, cannot be contained or directed. It can only be experienced, respected, and allowed to transform the landscape of their lives. The community center is filled with people of all ages, some in wheelchairs, others using canes or walkers, many showing no visible signs of disability at all. They've gathered for the annual fundraiser for the Murdoch Randall Foundation, an organization dedicated to supporting young people with chronic illnesses through art therapy, patient advocacy, and community building. Jamie moves through the crowd, greeting donors and program participants with equal warmth. At 35, he's grown into his role as the foundation's executive director, using his natural charm and business acumen to secure funding and partnerships that have expanded their reach across Canada and into the northern United States. Maggie stands near the display of artwork created by program participants, her posture supported by a sleek carbon fiber cane. At 31, her Parkinson's has progressed, but new treatments have helped manage her symptoms. Her own artwork has evolved, incorporating the tremors into her technique to create pieces that speak to the beauty found in imperfection. Mrs. Randall, a young woman in a wheelchair, approaches Maggie. "I wanted to thank you. The art classes changed everything for me. Before, I was just a girl with MS. Now I'm an artist who happens to have MS." Maggie smiles, touching the young woman's shoulder. "That's exactly the point, Sophia. We are not our conditions. They're just part of our story." As the young woman moves away, Jamie joins his wife, slipping an arm around her waist to provide subtle support. "The silent auction is going well. We might exceed our fundraising goal this year." Maggie leans into him slightly. "Good. We need to expand the advocacy program. The new legislation on prescription drug pricing is going to affect a lot of our participants." Jamie nods, already mentally preparing for the battles ahead. His work has become increasingly political as he fights for healthcare policies that prioritize patients over profits. It's challenging, often frustrating work, but he's never regretted the path he chose. "How are you feeling?" he asks Maggie, noticing the slight tightening around her eyes that indicates fatigue or pain. "I'm okay," she assures him. "Just ready to sit down soon. It's been a long day." Jamie checks his watch. 20 more minutes of mingling. Then we can make our exit. "Dr. Patel wanted to talk to you about the new clinical trial, but that can wait until tomorrow if you're tired." Maggie shakes her head. "No, I want to hear about it. You know me, always chasing the next breakthrough." Jamie smiles, pressing a kiss to her temple. "That's my girl, always moving forward." As they continue their circuit of the room, greeting supporters and participants, Jamie reflects on the journey that brought them here. From a chance meeting in a doctor's office to building a life and a foundation together, their path has been neither straight nor easy. There have been hospitalizations, medication adjustments, days when Maggie couldn't get out of bed, and nights when Jamie felt overwhelmed by the responsibility of being her partner and caregiver. But there have also been moments of profound joy and connection. The day they were married in a small ceremony, surrounded by friends and family. The opening of the Foundation's first dedicated facility. Quiet evenings at home when the outside world falls away and they're just Jamie and Maggie, two people who chose each other despite every reason not to. Later that night, as they prepare for bed in their accessible home, Maggie struggles with the buttons on her blouse. Jamie watches for a moment, knowing she values her independence, before gently offering assistance. "May I?" Maggie sighs but nods, allowing him to help. "I hate this part. Feeling helpless over something so simple." "You're never helpless," Jamie reminds her, his fingers deftly working the buttons. "You're just conserving energy for more important things." Maggie smiles at their familiar exchange. "Like what?" Jamie finishes with the buttons and pulls her close, careful not to throw her balance. "Like continuing to change the world, one patient at a time. Like showing me every day what courage looks like. Like loving me despite my many flaws." "You do have many flaws," Maggie teases, her hands coming to rest on his chest. "Fortunately, your good qualities just barely outweigh them." Jamie laughs, the sound warm in the quiet of their bedroom. "I'll take it." As they settle into bed, Maggie's head resting on Jamie's shoulder, he thinks about the man he was when they first met. Ambitious, superficial, afraid of commitment. That version of himself seems like a stranger now, someone he might have become permanently, if not for the fierce, honest woman beside him. "What are you thinking about?" Maggie asks, her voice soft with approaching sleep. "Just how lucky I am," Jamie answers, his arm tightening around her. "How sometimes the best things in life are the ones we never saw coming." Maggie makes a small sound of agreement, her body relaxing against his. "Like love and other drugs," Jamie adds with a smile, remembering the medication that first brought them together and the many that have become part of their daily life since. Maggie murmurs, already drifting off. "But love is the strongest medicine of all." As Jamie feels his wife's breathing deepen into sleep, he reflects on the truth of her words. In a world where pharmaceutical companies promise cures and relief, where doctors offer treatments and therapies, where patients search desperately for anything to ease their suffering, the most powerful healing force remains the simplest: love, freely given and received, with all its complications and challenges. It won't stop Maggie's tremors or reverse her disease. It won't shield them from the difficulties that lie ahead, but it will continue to transform them both, making them more compassionate, more authentic, more fully human with each passing day. And in the end, that's the most anyone can ask of love. Not that it solves all problems or erases all pain, but that it makes the journey worthwhile, even when the road is hard. Especially then,